is often regarded as the greatest electric guitarist of all time. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're taking a look at the life and career of Jimi Hendrix.
People hear me, people hear me. They know what it means to be left alone.
Johnny Allen Hendrix, later known as James Marshall Hendrix, was born on November 27, 1942, in Seattle, Washington. His unstable childhood was marred by poverty and family problems, and he lost his mother when he was a teenager. However, it was around this time he received his first acoustic guitar. In 1959, he finally made the switch to electric and began playing with local bands. Hendrix enlisted in the Army in 1961 to avoid prison time after being caught riding in stolen cars. During his year as a soldier, he met bassist Billy Cox, and they began to play with other musicians as a band.
Do you ever run into any of the guys from the old 101st?
Yeah, I've been to see my friends. Yeah.
Do they wonder? Do they think your life is strange compared to what they're in?
Oh, I wouldn't matter really because, there's so many different things going on now. You can't take time out to say, oh, I wonder what they think about me there. Oh.
It was during this period that he also learned to play guitar with his teeth. Soon after, the band relocated to Nashville. He then traveled with a few bands throughout the South to perform for mostly black audiences.
All I remember is like getting out of the Army and then trying to get something together, and then I was playing in different groups all over the States, and in Canada. Playing behind people most of the time, though,
By 1964, he had moved to New York City and was eventually asked to play guitar with the Isley Brothers. During the 1960s, Hendrix also performed and recorded with several acts, most notably King Curtis and Little Richard.
Jimmy had this perseverance to go on. He didn't mind looking freaky. Like I don't mind it.
In addition, he played around the city under the name Jimmy James with another band called the Blue Flame. In 1966, the former bassist of the Animals, Chaz Chandler, became Hendrix's manager. Chandler helped him form the Jimi Hendrix Experience with two English musicians, bassist Noel Redding and drummer Mitch Mitchell. After several European live performances, Hendrix began making a name for himself with appearances on the top UK music shows.
Excuse me while I kiss this guy.
He soon signed with the label Track Records, and with them he released 3 top 10 UK singles. The Jimi Hendrix Experience's debut album was 1967's Are You Experienced? The critically and commercially successful record reached the 2nd position on the UK charts and turned Hendrix into a worldwide star.
Foxy.
Thanks to his distortion and feedback-heavy electric guitar playing, the psychedelic rock LP is often considered one of the best rock albums in history. Following some European tour dates, the Experience played at the 1967 Monterey International Pop Festival in California. This memorable performance ended with Hendrix burning and demolishing his guitar. Later that year, the band released the sophomore album Axis, Bold as Love. The psychedelic rock record charted within the top 5 of the UK and US charts. It was on this LP that Hendrix began tuning down his guitar by a half step and using the wah-wah pedal. The Experience's 3rd and last LP was 1968's Electric Ladyland. The double album topped the Billboard 200 chart and had Hendrix experimenting with electronic effects and genres such as blues, R&B, and Britpop. Frustrations between band members were at an all-time high during the subsequent tour. After Redding's departure in 1969, Hendrix continued recording and playing with Mitchell. He also added several musicians to the new lineup, including his old friend Cox. Under the name Gypsy Sun and Rainbows, the band performed at the Woodstock Music Festival.
Before we go any further, I'd like to say, man, y'all really had a lot of patience. 3 days worth. You proved to the world what can happen. A little bit of love and understanding in sounds.
The group disbanded after a few more shows and some studio recordings. Next, Hendrix, Cox, and Buddy Miles formed Band of Gypsies, and the group released a self-titled live record in 1970. Later, Hendrix was accompanied by Mitchell and Cox for the Cry of Love tour. He also spent some time recording at his Electric Lady Studios that same year. Hendrix then played his last shows following a performance at the Isle of Wight Festival. On September 18, 1970, Jimi Hendrix died in London, England. Like many stars of his generation, Hendrix was known for his drug use, and his death was likely due to drug-related complications.
Jimmy could take more of anything than we could, you know what I mean? Because he was already abnormal. So whatever he took just brought him back around to normal, then he got to start from there, you understand?
Despite his passing, the popularity of his music grew, and several posthumous compilations were released. These included 1971's The Cry of Love and Rainbow Bridge, 1997's First Rays of the New Rising Sun, and 2010's Valleys of Neptune. With his avant-garde musical ideas and incomparable guitar skills, Jimi Hendrix became one of the most influential artists in history.
Hey Joe, I heard you